Before we start, I'd like to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Zesty Craft. Basic wood and stone are the most useful materials when building in this style because they easily stick to the real-life buildings of the time. Knowing how to properly mix the two is key to getting the most of the style, and this design is perfect for that. The stone base gives everything a solid foundation and establishes the basic materials. However, it doesn't overwhelm the design with boring gray. Instead, the wood takes over the design as it goes upward, mixing light and dark to allow the framework and the walls to complement each other. The roof can be made with either bricks or lighter wood, but both have a strong sense of color while keeping true to the style. Despite being fairly simple objects, wells can be quite difficult to make look good, as the wells in Minecraft's NPC villages make clear. This is for a couple of reasons. 1. Wells are traditionally round, something Minecraft isn't quite equipped for. Secondly, they're very small, and it's hard to get any kind of detail in such a small building. This design makes the most out of a 3x3 design by using a large variety of small and thin blocks. The only whole block in the entire design is the stone brick around the base. Everything else utilizes walls, fences, half slabs, and even trapdoors to keep everything at a good scale without feeling weird or bulky. This design can even be scaled up with little effort for those who want something more substantial. Often the biggest and grandest building in any medieval town, aside from the castle. The church is typically the only place where every resident of town will regularly gather. That means it's got to be big and beautiful on both the inside and the outside. This design achieves that brilliantly by stuffing every nook and cranny with texture and detail. While it's predominantly made of gray blocks, the brown highlights of the wood keep it interesting, and even the plain gray surfaces are broken up with indents and pillars, never letting the design settle and grow dull. What's more is that all the techniques are fairly simple and only require players to place a few stairs and half slabs in the right arrangement, meaning anyone can do it with a bit of know-how. Starting off with the basics, this house is a simple and nice looking example of the many techniques that make medieval buildings in Minecraft. The white walls, made of either terracotta or concrete, combined with dark wooden highlights, are a key part of this style. On top of that, it's an easy introduction to one of the most challenging aspects of these buildings, the roofs. Building a set of stairs from either side to meet in the middle is all well as good, but this building is a simple example of how to mix stairs and normal blocks to make something more interesting to look at, as well as the choice of color. This particular design will require some netherwood, but that should be no problem for players in the mid-game. This house takes the same techniques as before, but makes them a bit bigger and more complicated for a much grander design. This is a perfect house design for any high-status area of a town, away from the peasantry and general populace. Using stone bricks instead of white concrete, the wooden logs are used to give the building an outside scaffolding that was often in these buildings around that time. Additionally, using fences instead of glass for windows is more time appropriate, as glass was an expensive commodity. When thinking of commercial buildings to dot around a medieval town, a blacksmith is a must-have. Blacksmiths weren't quite common a fixture of towns as media would have people believe. They often lived and worked in the local barracks/castle. However, it just wouldn't feel right without some friendly bearded man out by his house hitting some heated metal with a hammer. This design uses the white and wood technique on the building but builds a stone tier in the bottom. This gives the idea that the bottom floor could be the blacksmith's store, while the top is where they live. Additionally, the outside area shows how many of the game's workbenches can be used for decorative purposes. This is a design where players could potentially use mods to make the whole thing even more intricate. This design pushes the techniques already shown and pushes them even bigger and bolder. This one will be quite resource intensive, using a lot of terracotta for the walls and roof, but when the house looks as pretty as this, it's worth the effort. With various sections of the house sticking out from the main section, this shows how irregular shapes make for a far more interesting building. Additionally, the use of lecterns as posts around the edges is the perfect way to use utility blocks for other purposes. Big or small, rich or poor, everyone needs to eat. A farmhouse is another clear choice for buildings in any medieval town, and this one is rather humble. This house is quite easy to build, but it still packs in a massive helping of detail. And studying it can be useful for players looking to learn how and where detail can be added to bigger builds. While the farm shown is quite small, this house could easily be placed in the middle of a massive field. Additionally, the house's design is basic enough that it can be scaled up without much trouble, making it very versatile. Finally, throw in some villagers and the whole thing could potentially run on autopilot. This house is another fine example of the usual medieval house techniques, this time using stone as the outer scaffolding as opposed to wood. The colors are unusual on this one, but the use of sandstone makes for a more unique feel. What this house also does is showcase how impressive using different resource packs can be when finding the right look for buildings. The pack used in this image is John Smith Legacy, but there are plenty of other packs out there for medieval looks, maybe even something more realistic. Well, this brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.